Hi everyone, my name is Stacy Wixall and I'm the director of Macedon Public Library. And today I am going to share with you some biographies that I recently read because right now we are having the Fall into a Bio challenge. And I thought, well, maybe some people might like some different ideas. And the books I picked to read are all interesting because they really have broadened my perspectives on a lot of different things. So my first selection is Alicia Keys, More Myself. I really enjoyed this book. I find Alicia Keys to be a really interesting person to read about, and I especially find some of her philosophical ideas on life and things she's picked up because of her journey towards becoming an amazing musician, very helpful in my own life. Um, if you read this book, you'll find out that the title, More Myself, is all about that, and how Alicia has, through the years, been able to become more and more comfortable in her own skin and with who she is and what she allows everyone to see. I'll put it to you that way. And I just thought it was a pretty good story, and I really admire her for everything that, I mean, she came into this world with a single parent, living in Hell's Kitchen, where, as she points out, she couldn't walk down the street feeling comfortable in a outfit, even like maybe what I'm wearing. She used to wear big baggy sweatshirts and pants with Timberlake's boots, and a lot of that was to fend off, you know, leering stares and unwanted advances from other people by just dressing in this, potato sack like clothing. She could walk down the street sort of unnoticed. And so music really was her salvation, and it's amazing how far she's gone with it. And she's been blessed with a lot of talent that was part of the reason that could happen. And another part of the reason was, you'll find out when you read the book, she has an immense ability to just really focus in and do what she needs to do, and get in touch with herself so she can write the lyrics and the songs and make those hits that we love so much. So that's More Myself, Alicia Keys. It's a new one, and right now it's available. The next one that I thought was pretty interesting is Good Boy. Now, when I picked this one up, I'm not going to lie, I picked it for its cover because, as it so happens, I have a black lab at my house, and I really like dogs. So I thought, well, that looks interesting, and it said, my life in 7 dogs. And so I picked it up and I brought it home, and I found out that this book, it's brilliant actually. It's a book about a transgendered person who later in life, in her early 40s, made the transition. At this point in her life, she'd been through a few dogs. She was now married with a child, and what's brilliant about the book is the way she tells about her life. She integrates the dogs, and there is a universality to her life. Whether you think you can understand where somebody's coming from as a transgendered person or not right now, read this book and see what you think, because I really think that this book does a great job of making it so that you can understand that, okay, maybe somebody who's transgendered would seem like they don't have much in common with you, like it would seem so foreign, but actually there's a lot of commonality there. And the decision they make is just one facet of of who they are as a person as a whole, and that the who that's inside is more than how they decide to represent their gender. So I highly recommend it. I think it was a really, really eye-opening and good story. I read it super fast. It went really fast. So, Good Boy, My Life in 7 Dogs, another new one, and it is currently available. Finally, we have The Other Madisons, The Lost History of a President's Black Family. This one was riveting. A lot of history in here, a lot of concepts that if you're like me and you went to school in the 70s and 80s, this is not the sort of history that was talked about when we went to school. So the author of this book actually is a Black woman who is or had been a pediatrician for many years and is now retired. And she delved into her family history. And part of that, a big chunk of that, had to do with the fact that in her family, they have a tradition called being a griot, and I hope I'm saying that word right because it was a new word for me. So what's a griot? It's basically, if you think back in time to when, think of the troubadours, the people who used to travel around and tell stories and keep history through the vessel of song. Well, a griot is almost the same sort of idea, but rather than keeping the family history through song, they keep it through story. There's no singing. I suppose there could be singing. She didn't mention that she sang any of it. She tells stories. And when her mother said, basically, guess what, you're it, and gave her this big box of different records and things that she had held on to. And of course, through the years, she had heard stories from other members in the family that had the role of griot. She just was fascinated by it. She had all of this information and she wanted to dig deeper. And one thing growing up, this is where the Madison part comes in, back in her family tree, one of her family members had been, well, no, you don't know for sure if it was consensual or not, but a woman in her family did conceive James Madison's child. And so her mom and even her other relatives, they always said, remember you're a Madison. You're one part of you're African American, but also you're a Madison. And this book is just all about the different information as she dug deeper and went to Virginia and went to the places, like went to James Madison's home and saw where the slaves would have done the cooking and been working. She made all these different connections, and as she's making these connections on her journey to discover, her family tree, and she's relaying this information to you, it's very emotional. The things that she ends up telling you, and it's awe-inspiring to think of how much people of African American descent helped to build this country, how difficult their lives were, how thankless, and how many strides that they have been able to make under just oppressive conditions in many cases, but still they were able to rise. And whether a Black person has Madison in their family tree or not, they're still an integral part of our national history and a very important reason for why we are where we are today. And I feel like I'm not doing this book justice by what I'm saying right now, really. I mean, read this book and I would say of the three, this one really it'll sit with you for a long time after you read it, and it'll just kind of make you look at things that you read differently. So I hope that you will come to the library and check out one of these books. So they're all here. The Other Madison, The Last History of a President's Black Family, Good Boy, My Life in Seven Dogs, and More Myself, A Journey by Alicia Keys. All very good reads. Definitely will stretch your mind, stretch your perspective, and make you look at the world just a little bit differently when you're done. So hope you enjoy these reads. And if you don't want any of these, that's okay. We have lots more. Come on in and check out a biography. Join our little challenge, and who knows? You might even win a gift certificate for Dunkin' Donuts or Bistro at the Commons. You never know. If nothing else, you'll stretch your mind. So, goodbye.